Hi, I am Martha Steele from Arlington, Massachusetts, and I am one of the organizers of the first ever Blind Birders Birdathon.
Hi, my name is Natanya Sortland. I am an ambassador for VisionCorps, but also I love birds. And I am here to talk about an event that we're going to have.
And you are listening to
White Canes Connect.
Hey there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the first vice president of the affiliate. Joining me today is co-host and White Canes Connect creator, Lisa Bryant. Lisa, what do we have on tap today?
Well, we're going to talk about birds. And we're going to talk about recording the bird songs that we hear for the first ever Blind Birders Birdathon.
And just to be clear, there are no eagles in the Blind Birders Birdathon, I don't think, unless you live in an area where you may actually hear one of the actual birds. Now, we're not talking Philadelphia eagles. And if you're not in the Philadelphia area, don't throw shade because I'm talking about the Super Bowl champs. But it is very interesting, and it is something, Lisa, that even without sight, we all can do just by listening. And we didn't get into too many of the bird sounds in the interview, but one thing that I always found interesting, especially when we lived in media, there was a bird outside our door that sounded like a cell phone ringing. And it always made me laugh every time I would sit on the porch and I would hear this thing and I would think, is that somebody's phone or is that a bird? And Liz would come out and say, no, that's a bird up there in the tree, because she could see it. And I just always think that that's funny. But this was a very interesting interview and something that, again, I think we can all participate in.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm sure you probably have even more unique sounds being a little bit outside of the city than I have here. But this is the first time ever doing this, so very exciting to be a part of an inaugural event. And you don't need to know anything beforehand. All levels of bird knowledge or bird ignorance are welcome.
You just have to go outside and listen. And let's listen to the interview. Martha and Natanya, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Our pleasure.
So a welcome to Martha and a welcome back to Natanya. And also a thank you for even bringing the event to our attention. We're talking today about the first ever Blind Birders Birdathon. Martha, why don't you start and tell us, what is this event? When is this event?
The Blind Birders Birdathon will take place on May 18, Sunday, May 18. And what it is a 24-hour period, midnight to midnight, during which people go outside and try to identify as many birds as possible within that 24-hour period. This is something that sighted birders have done for decades. But we wanted to do one specifically for people who are blind who have low vision. And anyone can join and participate who is blind or has low vision to get outside and bird or start to learn to identify birds.
What gave you the idea to do this?
Well, the main thing is last October, somewhere thereabouts, a whole lot of my friends forwarded me an article that appeared in the Washington Post. And the article was about a birder who was blind and who led bird walks at a conservation area in Michigan. Her name was Donna Poisson. And I did not know Donna. And I thought to myself, I've been birding myself for roughly 20 or 30 years. And I thought, I don't know how many people out there are blind or have low vision and who enjoy birding. And I just thought, well, maybe we could do a birdathon and try to publicize it as far as and as widely as we could. And let's see how many people are out there, and let's see if we can get a community together of people who are blind or have low vision, but who are bird lovers.
You had, before this, your experience was your own love for birds and being a birder. But in terms of bringing that same passion and that same love to the blindness community, you had, prior to this, no real connection with the blind community?
No, that's not true. I'm quite involved, but I'd never kind of thought of this idea. I think it really is something I've certainly shared my love of birding, as has my fellow organizers. They've shared their love of birding in the blindness community, but we've never thought of doing a specific event like this.
Mm-hmm.
So it just is something that kind of a light bulb went on, and I said, well, why not do it? I've gone birding with other people who are blind or have low vision, but this was an opportunity to really find out who in our community enjoys birding, but more importantly, to get the word out that just because you can't see or you can't see well doesn't mean you can't be a very good birder, because birding really is largely by sound.
How do you know? And I know there are a lot of apps out there, so maybe you could kind of point us in the right direction, because I know accessibility to some of them is better than others. What app would you use or would you recommend for blind and low vision folks?
Well, the most popular app right now for everybody, whether you're sighted or blind, is something called Merlin Bird ID, and it is actually quite accessible. And that is a free app that was developed and is constantly updated by the Cornell University Laboratory of Ornithology. And what that does is that you can hold your phone up, and when a bird sings, it will identify what that bird is. And it's a great way to learn birds if you're on your own and you're using an app. There's another app that's called Larkwire. That one has a small cost to it, but what's good about that one is that it tests you on your bird identification skills. So you can be sitting in your living room and listening to some songs, and it'll ask you what you think it is, and it'll either tell you you're correct or it will tell you what bird it was if you weren't correct. So those are a couple of pretty popular ones, and they're both very accessible.
Natanya, talk about how you learned about it and how you'll be participating, because I know you're trying to gather your own group together. So tell us all about that.
Yes. Well, first of all, would you like me to tell you how I fell in love with birds? Because that's kind of a funny story.
Okay.
All right. First of all, I have only been legally blind about 10 years. And about 6 years ago during COVID, my partner invited me out. He said, let's go bird watching. And I was thinking, do you not see the cane? But then I thought to myself, why don't I listen to the birds? And I went on my first walk with the Valley Forge Audubon Society, and I was enthralled. I fell in love, and I've been birding ever since. It's a wonderful thing to do. I heard about this event from a friend of mine at the Audubon Society. She said, there's this amazing event going on. And I thought, a national blind birdathon? The thought of us, blind and visually impaired folks from across the nation all doing something as a community on one day, it really was exciting to me. Often I feel isolated from all of you guys out there. I'm usually the only blind person in the room. I decided to do it. I didn't understand it, but I said, I'm going to do it. So I registered, and then I thought, there is a beautiful park near me with some rare birds, beautiful birds. And I've gone on a lot of bird walking tours there. And I thought, well, why not have a group of us do the National Blind Birdathon together as a community?
Mhm.
I got permission at this park. It is paved, and I am excited to say that I got a expert birder by ear, and I have somebody amazing for us. And the event is going to be at Brightside Farm, and it is Charlestown. Let me know if you want me to give you the address, but it's going to be at Brightside Farm, and we are going to be led. Wait, I have to say what he wants me to say because I won't remember it all. The person who will be leading us, his name is Rick Kaiser. And I asked him what he would like me to say on this podcast. And he said, I have been learning the sounds of the local bird species for multiple decades. This past time has been bringing me much joy to this day. The array of sounds that birds can produce is vast. An entire lifetime wouldn't be enough to become familiar with every single sound they can make, so you won't run out of discovery. We will focus on tonal quality of bird voices and the rhythm structure of their songs, which are generally more complex than bird songs. How did I get so lucky to find him? And he said yes.
So how did you connect with them?
I got connected through my friends. I'm friends with some of the people who lead the walks. And I said, hey, there's this National Blind Birdathon. I want to have other blind birders to do this with. Do you know anyone who can lead us? And I'm so lucky that everybody really helped out. And that is what's so great about the birding community is they really love those of us who are listening to the birds because that's kind of a special thing to do.
How many people have expressed interest so far? Do you know?
There's several people that have expressed interest because it's just me and I am creating it. We have about, I would say, honestly, we've got maybe 3 or 4 people right now.
Okay.
I say, to all of us out there that we need to come to events like this. If we can, we come for the community and we're going to stay for the birds. It's a great opportunity for us to do something that is a national event and to do it and meet more people who are visually impaired. And so I'm hoping this podcast, I have the flyer. I'm going to be sending it out to all the people in VisionCorps. It's really grassroots. If any of you want to know about it, if you want to share about it, I could use your help because I am just one visually impaired person who struggles to email.
Martha, I'm just wondering, what sense have you gotten so far on interested people? How many people have registered so far?
So the number of people who have registered so far is about 160 across the country.
Nice.
And I know that's an underestimate of who will actually participate because, like Natanya, there are a number of people that are putting groups together.
Right.
And so those groups, we may or may not get all of those people registered before the event. I hope eventually we get them all their names and everything so we can create that much more of a community there. But we are, this event is organized essentially by 3 of us, like Natanya, 3 individuals. We just love birds. We're not affiliated with any organization. I'm retired. Jerry Barrier is another person. He's retired. And Donna works as a naturalist at this conservation area in Michigan. We are supported by an organization called Birdability. Birdability, all one word. We asked them if they would help us develop a web page for the registration and information about the event and try to use their network to publicize the event. Otherwise, it's the 3 of us volunteers who are reaching out to birding organizations and blindness organizations across the country, just with our individual outreach. And we hope to get some press release. We know the Washington Post is already in contact with a group that will be going out in the Washington, D.C. area. I believe the Post reporters will go out with that group. So we'll get some publicity from that, and I'm sure we'll get some other press from other outlets across the country. But to us, this is kind of a pilot. We're just trying to see what kind of interest, what works, what doesn't, what we need to get better at, and how to build this community.
I was wondering what's your team or your infrastructure like, and it sounds like even though this is a huge national event, it's very like what Natanya is doing. It's very grassroots level. So
Very.
I'm just wondering, what did you draw from, since this has not been done before? What were you using as sort of your guidepost?
So birdathons themselves are very common in the birding community.
Okay.
Usually they are fundraisers. So someone says, okay, for example, an Audubon society, an Audubon sanctuary in a certain state might say, we have a birdathon on May 17, and birders will then raise funds. They might ask their friends to give $1 for every species they find in that 24-hour period. So it's a common fundraising mechanism for conservation organizations or other bird conservation organizations. And it also is very competitive among birders. Birders are, birders in general can be quite competitive. They want to get, they want to have the most species, more species in, let's say, a 24-hour period than anybody else. And they'll do everything they can to do that. So the idea and the structure of the day being a birdathon, that just seemed like a good start. And the other thing about birdathons and about this event is it can be done anywhere. You don't, you can live anywhere in the country and just step outside, and anybody in the country who wanted to participate could.
That's one of the things I loved about it, because to be able to participate, you need to do it for 2 hours. So we're not birding for 24 hours. Anybody who thought it was nonstop birding, I love birds, not that much. We will be birding for 2 hours, but it doesn't have to be consecutive.
Correct.
You could participate in this event and go outside on your porch or your deck and listen to birds for 15 minutes, stop, go do something else, go take a walk. It doesn't need to be consecutive. It's just 2 hours of listening to the birds and seeing what lives in your backyard, what lives in your community.
I go to bed very late or very early, depending on how you look at it. And I've noticed that in the 3 o'clock hour, I hear birds active outside. Do some birds get up earlier than others, or do they all get up once it's... How does that all work? Some sleep in?
Yeah. I'll give a short answer, and Natanya can say. So in my area, in the Boston area, the bird that I hear usually starting around 3:30 in the morning, this time of year, not year-round, but this is the height of song where we are right now, is a bird called the American robin.
Absolutely.
It starts somewhere around 3:30 in the morning. It's still very dark, but it is out there. There are tons of robins out there singing.
Yep.
What about you, Natanya?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also found, as the sun is setting, that will be the bird that will be the last one to go quiet before the other birds, like, for example, owls. They prefer the nighttime. So it's such a great question, because some birds want to be awake during the day because that's what's safest for them. That's where they get their food. And other birds, they want to be awake at night because that's when they hunt.
Nocturnal bird.
What's nice about this being a full, 24-hour marathon is that you'll get not only the different, of course, there are going to be different time zones, but you'll get that nice mix of the early risers and the literal late owls. But I was wondering also, just logistically, I'm just thinking. So, Martha, Natanya has about 3 or 4 people in her group, but is that is that coming through as just her registering that group, or each one of them individually?
Well, we would like to get everybody registered just because we want to know who participated. And ultimately, we want to make sure everybody who participated, whether as a solo person or as part of a group, we want to get all the results of the birdathon out. Also, all participants will be eligible for some great prizes that we have.
Yes. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and so, it is beneficial for everyone who participates to register.
So the prizes are what? For the most number of recordings correctly? Just sort of participatory prizes?
So anybody who registers and anybody who participates, and Jerry and myself and Donna are not eligible. We're the organizers, so we took ourselves out. And it is a drawing. So it's not
Okay.
based on anything anyone does. We're just thanking everyone for participating. And
Gotcha.
so we're going to have a drawing, and the first winner will get the choice of whatever prizes there are, and then it'll just go on down.
Exact prizes TBD?
So we have quite a few prizes. They're all listed on the website. They are, in some cases, membership to a birding organization. In one case, we actually have shall I say, a spot on a birding tour in the U.S. That's being offered by Wildside Nature Tours. It's fabulous. That's probably valued at somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000, probably. And we have some low vision assistive devices available. We have gift certificates at $100, $200 gift certificates at birding stores that offer all sorts of stuff, whether it's clothing or feeders. We have an offer from Beautio Books of Audible books. The Blind Kitchen is offering something from their store, so things like that.
We're big fans of Deborah Erickson at the Blind Kitchen. She's been on the podcast in the past. Natanya, walk us through how your guide is going to help your group on that day.
I'm excited because he's incredibly knowledgeable, educated, and he does this a lot. What my expectation is that we will all meet at the park, and he is going to open about how to listen to birds. He's going to talk about some of the science of it. And then we're going to get down to business and we're going to start listening for the birds. He's going to teach us, lead us. And if there's anything you ever wanted to know about birds or listening to birds, any questions you have, you could not have a better leader or teacher. And I'd love to have at least 10 or 15 people coming. It's an incredible opportunity. You can expect to really have a buffet. Like, I don't know how to say it, a buffet for the ears. I mean, it's going to be like, all right, the smells of the park. They've got the flowers. It's absolutely wonderful. You can expect to hear birds you've probably never heard before. There are some rare and endangered birds there. So yeah, that's what you can expect, and you can expect blind people to meet and to have, like a little party. I look at it like a little party and a chance for us to do something.
So everyone in the group will do their own recording, or you'll submit a recording on behalf of the group?
I am going to submit my recording. If the people that sign up want to submit their recording, great.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, whew,
yeah.
It is what we make of it. In the visually impaired and blind community. We rarely are given the answer, but we are given the opportunity. And this is an opportunity.
I hear so much your excitement for this. What is this doing for you, Natanya, and for the community? You've kind of touched on it again, but I'd love for you to expand on how this opportunity just even more opens up the world of, and not just birding, but just the whole inviting the blind community more into socializing and getting outside.
I have discovered so much since I became legally blind, and it happened rather suddenly. And I felt isolated. I didn't know any other legally blind people. And I didn't realize until I began to get connected by going to audio described performances or blind golfing that there's a whole community that I wasn't aware of.
Mm.
And there's something about being with our community where you're not the blind person.
Yeah.
There's an unfortunate celebrity that you get when you're and you have a cane, especially when you have a cane. And I like my cane, but it's a celebrity I don't want. I I find something about being outdoors. I feel connected to the world.
Mm.
I, like many of us, I can't drive. And there's something amazing about being outside, listening to the birds. And me being blind is not an issue.
Mm.
And I feel freedom and I feel excited. And what I'm so hopeful about this event at Brightside is that people will come. I feel like sometimes I want to hide as someone digitally impaired, and I don't
Yeah.
want to. I don't want to hide. Where are
Yeah.
we?
Yeah.
Where are we? Come on out.
Yeah. And Martha, I would imagine that is exactly your goal, what you enjoy hearing.
It is absolutely. It really warms my heart to hear that. I think I hear the joy in Natanya's voice. I hear the passion she has for birds and birding, and she is absolutely right about how birding just expands your world. It
Yeah.
expands your world because it gets you outside. You start learning about natural history in general, not just birds. And, bottom line, we being those of us blind or visually impaired, we can be the best birders
Mm-hmm.
in the park that day.
Yes.
Because we are very skilled at identifying the birds by song, and many, many sighted birders are not.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the interesting things to me, I used to have vision. I have Usher syndrome, which means I have
Oh, okay.
both hearing and vision loss,
Mm-hmm.
progressive. So I started birding as a visual birder, but I could not hear birds
Mm.
because I had hearing loss and I could not hear them. Then, as I lost more vision, I explored and got cochlear implants.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got cochlear implants, the absolutely shocking thing that resulted, in addition to wonderfully better speech understanding, was all of a sudden I heard birds. And, Natanya, I walked out of the hospital and the first birds I heard were house sparrows. And I thought, what the heck are those? What sound is that? And, as soon as I realized they were house sparrows, I just started crying.
Yeah.
Because I was
Yeah.
losing my ability to see birds, which meant I would no longer be able to bird.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, I started hearing them. And so I relearned birding. I started
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah.
I couldn't see, so I started learning them by sound. And one other point I want to make, and I'm so glad, Natanya, that you have Rick helping you and teaching the bird songs. Really, the best way, in my experience, and I've been doing this for a long time, the best way to learn birds it first of all is to get out there and listen.
Mm-hmm.
The field experience is so important, but if you can do it with somebody who's a little better than you are at identifying the songs, that is so much easier. It's so helpful, and you really can learn very well if you have some sort of mentor to help you with that.
Absolutely. The Valley Forge Audubon Society has really great walks, and the people who lead the walks they always pick out the bird songs for me. They make me feel like I'm just like everybody else. In fact, everybody else is impressed because they can't hear that.
Too busy seeing.
They're too busy seeing. And I, as to birds, I'm like, they're not just a pretty face. I mean, looks aren't everything.
Yeah.
And I also, full disclosure, have to say, I am not an experienced birder. I just love to do it. So for those of you out there going, I don't know what's going on in my outside, I'm like, you know what? At this point, I probably have memorized maybe 8 birds, but I'm with you.
But that's 8 more than I've memorized. So you are, in my opinion, when Martha said, "Oh, that was a housewife," I'm like, "A what?" So you guys, I felt like you were talking shop. You sound so educated in this space, but I'm glad you said that because, we do want people to feel welcome at whatever level they're at. And you did, well, maybe we didn't say it earlier, but I know when I was reading about it, all levels are welcome for this birdathon.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell us, Martha, how are you compiling, after the event? What are you doing with all of these sounds? What happens post birdathon?
Well, what we are asking is that people report to us the species that they heard or saw. Some people obviously will be able to see birds. So what we want to get are the names of the species that people saw or heard. And we have one of the organizers here, Jerry Barrier, who lives also in Massachusetts. Jerry will compile all of the results that everybody sends into him. However, it's easiest for people to send it in. For example, Natanya, if you're carrying around a recorder, and I don't know what you plan to do, but you might say, "Oh, I just heard a scarlet tanager," and you say that into your recorder. And that may be how you're keeping track of what you hear. You could send that recording to Jerry and he can listen to what you heard, scarlet tanager, American robin, whatever. And Jerry will compile all that. And then there will be a wrap up that will include the summary of the results after the birdathon. I believe it's June 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But all of that will be made available to everyone who registers, so they'll get that information.
You had mentioned using a recorder. What if there are people like me that have no idea what we're hearing, but what if we recorded those bird sounds? Would they be something that we could send in as well, or no?
That's a very good question, David. Our expectation is that people will send in the name of the bird, and they might do that through using something like the Merlin Bird ID app. Like if you're alone on your back porch and you hear a bird and you don't know what it is, and you're the only one there,
and you don't have the app,
the Merlin Bird ID app would be very helpful because it would identify what the bird is.
And I guess using something, if we record it and then maybe don't have our phone or have the app ready on our phone, we could probably record it and then just play it back, and then the app would tell us what it is then too.
When I think of a recording, if I go out for a walk and I might have a recording of 10 or 15 minutes, and if 100 people are sending in recordings of 15 or 30 minutes or something, that can be a little burdensome for Jerry to try to listen to. I think my initial sort of thought is that we would hope that most people will write down what they hear. But if there's some people that really are flummoxed by a certain bird, for example, and they want to record it and send it to us, absolutely. I don't see a problem with that at all.
So that event, the post Birdathon event, is that going to be a Zoom? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. And that information will go out, you said, to the
It'll
participants.
go out to all the registrants, and like I said, I believe it's June 5, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will be a Zoom.
Have you thought about making this an annual? Have you gone that far yet, or you just want to test the waters and we'll figure it out after because I would imagine the prepping for the event, the day of, those are two buckets on their own. But all of that post follow-up, that's the part that can get maybe a little hairy. So what do you think? Do you think perhaps it might become an annual?
We hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think that's our intent.
Mm-hmm.
And our intent is to learn from this year's experience and start at least the basis of a community that can grow.
Yeah.
We hope that with the media coverage, at least some media coverage that we get around the event, will lay the foundation for more participation in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But we definitely would like to, and I have to give a lot of credit to our Birdability friends. That's the organization that's been supporting us. Not sure we could have done this so easily without them, because they really, first of all, provided us with all the website stuff, and that was really important, but they've helped us with setting up the Zooms, and Birdability has captains all around the country that help promote birding among the disability community. And some of those Birdability captains will be participating as well. So I think we'll see this grow, and I'm very, very hopeful that it will continue and get bigger and bigger.
Well, Natanya, we would love for you to plug away and tell us how people can join your group, where you're meeting, what time, how they can get in touch with you, or how they register, whatever you want to share in terms of that.
Once again, this is little old me. I'm going to be there. Rick is going to be there to lead us. It's going to be at Brightside Farm Park in Malvern, and that's on Yellow Springs Road in Malvern, Pennsylvania. It's going to be Sunday, May 18th from 4 to 6 p.m., and that is also the 2 hours that are required to participate in the event. And I really hope that you come. It is paved. It is a mile walk. There are plenty of benches to sit down on. So bring your friends, bring your family. You don't have to be legally blind to come. You can come to support, and you can come and have fun. So you can bring your family. It's going to be a really wonderful event. And if you have any questions about it, we will all be in it together. I'll be in it with you, and we'll sort it all out together. And you'll really, really get a solid foundation about birds. And I don't want to brag, but we have kestrels, and they're very rare. We have purple martins. And if you don't know what those birds are, come to this event because they are very rare, especially the kestrels.
So how do people let you know they want to join your group?
My email is natanyasortland@gmail.com, NATANYA, as in Sam, ORTLAND @gmail.com. If enough of you contact me, I have some connections with the press. So if enough of you will come out, let's see if maybe the Philadelphia Inquirer, I don't know, but we don't know till we try. So please, I hope I hear from you and we can get at least maybe 7 or 8 people. And then I think maybe we can contact the press.
Martha, would you like to give the contact information for registering to the broader event of the Birdathon.
The place to register for this event is on the Birdability website. That's birdability.org. And that's all one word, birdability.org. And on that website, you'll see a place that highlights announcing the first ever Blind Birders Birdathon. And you click on that and it takes you to the registration page. There's a lot of information on that page. There's a fairly detailed Q&A about the event. There's a list of all the prizes for the event. There's also quite a detailed list of resources that you might consider for the event. And for sighted people, there's also some resources on that page. For example, how to assist someone who is blind or has low vision when walking with them. There are a couple of very good videos on that. So, plus, for anybody, and it's probably anybody who knows someone whose first language is Spanish, we also have Spanish materials on that webpage as well. So it's got a lot of information, good place to register. And I'll give my email as well, because I'm sort of the person to contact if you have any questions on a national level. And my email is marthajs@verizon.net.
And again, you have to be registered if you want to try and win one of those prizes, correct?
That is correct.
So that is a good reason to register.
Yeah, and can people, like, up until the very last minute, like at 11:59 that Saturday, you can still register, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
You
there's
can
no cutoff.
register the day of, for that matter.
Oh, okay.
You get up at 6 a.m., you still got a lot of hours left.
Well, Martha and Natanya, thank you so much, both of you, for coming on. Martha, thank you for taking the inspiration. And Natanya, thank you for your I love your joy about this. And I love that you are such a champion for our blindness community. And I think the birding event is only just a backdrop of just more ways that we can get out of our boxes, get out of our shells, get out of our comfort zone even. I mean, I love birds, but actually studying them and, being able to rattle off the names, and I never really thought about that, but it is very, very interesting. So it would be I don't know if I'd say a stretch, but it's just something I've just never done before. But now that the opportunities are there, and you're so right about what you said earlier, being plugged in and seeing that we can enjoy some of the same hobbies and activities as sighted people. We may do it a little differently, but we can still just appreciate that joy that everyone else has. So thank you for that inspiration.
My pleasure.
Martha and Natanya, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having us. And I certainly hope some of you out there are going to join us. It's going to be a blast.
Thanks again to Martha and Natanya for coming on and telling us about the Blind Birder Birdathon. And Lisa, it just sounds like a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I've got a couple of things planned already that day. So if I do it, I'm going to do it when those birds are singing at 3 a.m.
Yeah. I love that Natanya is so gung-ho about this. Her excitement, her love for this is really infectious. And I am actually considering it. That's why I was asking her offline about accessibility to the actual park. But I think it just sounds like a great opportunity. And the fact that she was able to snag the expert for the tour is just phenomenal.
Right. And that to me would make it so much better because, again, as a dummy, I don't know what I'm hearing. And I want to know if the app isn't 100% accessible, which I have tried that, Merlin. We had done a Philly Touch Tour, Philly Meetup walk in, what was that, Wissahickon Park. And I tried a few different apps and none were that great for me. Maybe it's my phone. I do mishandle my phone sometimes, not intentionally, but maybe that's it. I just couldn't get most of the apps to work and give me the information that I wanted. So to be with someone who can tell you what's going on, and again, to be out in Malvern, you talk about me being away from, from the city that like you are, that's an exponential leap going from here in Swarthmore to out in Malvern where there's even less people and less buildings and everything else. So that does sound like a lot of fun.
I think so. And hopefully the weather will cooperate because we did not talk about a rain date. So I am assuming that this will go on that day, rain or shine. And hopefully it'll go off without a hitch.
Right. And I would think rain or shine because it's covering the entire country. So that obviously in some spots it is going to rain. I can't imagine there's not going to be any rain, but hopefully not in this area. And you're able to do that. And again, just go outside and take a listen. It's so interesting to hear some of the birds that we hear. And at the beginning of the recording, I have to say, I had a bird watcher in Studio B here with me, and it was Ziggy. He loves watching the birds in the backyard. He loves that. I'm afraid if they come too low, what might happen to them, but he does love watching them, and he's always loved, and even planes for that matter.
So if you do go, please let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you have tried the Merlin app and you all agree with David that it's not quite that accessible, we'd like to know that too, because maybe we can pass that on to the folks organizing these. And who knows, maybe if enough of us, raise our voices, maybe these apps can become more accessible.
Yeah, and I would love if you go and if you would shoot some video, it would be something that we could share here on our YouTube channel. And I'm talking about at PA Blind Podcast. We would certainly love to put that up there. So please consider that if you do go out. I'd love to see and hear some video from you being out listening to the birds and hearing what you hear.
What else do we have coming up?
So also this week, we have the Spring Fling Blind Vendor Showcase coming up in Harrisburg the day before the Birdathon. That's the 17th of May. Tickets are available for attendees. The door is pretty much closed if you wanted to be an exhibitor. We'll certainly take your money if you want to be a sponsor. We can add that up to the 14th or 15th. We need time to obviously create literature to hand out. But that is going to be at the Best Western premiere the 17th of May from 4 to 10 p.m. You can go to pablindmerchants.org/fling if you want to buy some tickets for that. If you have any questions, please reach out to us here. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had fun at the Christmas party. There's going to be food. There's going to be music, raffles, auctions, and we have a bunch of blind vendors selling their products and services. I know there's going to be some sweets there that the Melanated Blind Baker is going to have. Joy will have some great things, and I can't wait to try those. And Michelle from Happy Valley will be there with her Scentsy products. A lot of other great things. Kevin Cross and the Essential Cane Keeper will be there. So if you need another one of those, certainly can pick one up. It's just going to be a lot of fun, Lisa, and I'm really looking forward to it. Great auctions as well. We have one of our auction items, as a matter of fact, will be a $250 Best Western gift card. So if you're thinking about going to the state convention coming up in November, you can certainly go and bid on that, and maybe you save a couple of bucks by getting $250 for Best Western for a little bit less.
Sounds exciting. Again, if you'd like to reach us, there are a couple of ways to do that. Our email address is whitecanesconnect@gmail.com.
You can certainly give us a call, 267-338-4495. You've got up to 3 minutes. Please leave your name and town if you do leave a voicemail. And again, that's 267-338-4495. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Take care.